Hi everybody and welcome to today's video. Today I am reviewing an interesting ink. Interesting for a number of reasons which I'll get to in just a second. The ink is SBRE Brown. Now, for those of you who are living under a rock in this industry and for some reason have no idea what or who SBRE Brown is, SBRE Brown is Dr. Stephen Brown, who is a fountain pen ink and accessories reviewer, big time player on YouTube and great personality. And a number of years ago, I hope I'm getting this history right, I'm sure it'll be corrected, a number of years ago he collaborated with Diamine to make an ink called SBRE Brown, given his name. And it sold ludicrously well. Like, sold out. In the last couple of years, he has reintroduced it, I think still made by Diamine, and released by Ackerman. So we get it in the Ackerman bottle now, which is a huge plus because it's a great bottle, which I will show shortly. Stephen collaborated on, designing the colour and the features of the ink and all of that sort of stuff. If you're not familiar with Stephen, check out his channel. He's everywhere on YouTube. Like, if you're in the fountain pen world, you know Stephen Brown. Okay. Let's look at it on some paper. Okie dokie. Here I have it on Tom River paper. Now this is in a Bond travel gear notebook, no longer made, but it uses Tom River paper, which is great for fountain pen ink, and I'll also show it on some other paper in just a minute. So let's talk about the 5 points to do with this ink. Firstly, it's exclusive. So that in this respect, I'm using that as a couple of terms. So it's exclusive that it is sold by Ackerman, and primarily when it's available, it is through their retailer and a couple of other retailers worldwide when it can be. It's also exclusive because it's made in small batches and it sells out very quickly. So when it comes out, grab it if you can, if you're interested in it. I certainly think it's an ink worth having. This ink is a really good shader. That was important to Stephen, and it shades beautifully. You can see hits of the lighter brown, the honey brown of it there, through the sort of darker, sort of like chocolatey browns. It's also a really nice colour. If I show it on that cardstock again, like, it's just a beautiful brown. It's sort of like a leathery sort of brown. Like here, if I just show it alongside like the Crazy Horse leather from Galen Leather, like it's a nice leathery brown. I like it a lot. It's on the wet side. Like, I have it in a Visconti Breeze here, which has a broad nib, as you can see I've written it there, which has a good sort of medium flow. It's definitely not a wet pen. And this ink is on the wet side. It does have the dry time takes a little bit. It's, but it's a fairly wet ink. And the next point there is great bottle. Now, I know that's not necessarily a selling point, but this bottle kind of is. It comes in this Dutch Masters bottle from Ackerman. You can see there it's got the SBRE Brown thumbprint on it there. I'll show you the bottle. 120 mils of ink, so just a ludicrous amount of ink. And I'll show you the bottle now because it's a beautiful bottle and it's beautifully functional. So this is the bottle. Like, very, very cool. Sticker of the SBRE Brown logo there, PW Ackerman, sort of built into the glass. Nice sort of plastic cap. Ackerman being a Dutch, ink shop, fountain pen shop. So what this bottle does really well is it's great for filling because you don't have to put the pen down into here. So it's got this reservoir in here which has a glass sort of marble, and so you tilt it upside down when it's capped securely, and then when you put it back up, the marble drops into the neck of the bottle here and traps a lot of ink in there. So all you have to do is drop your pen nib into that top bit, fill up, and away you go. So a good amount of ink, great bottle, like statement bottle. These are the sorts of bottles that when you run them out, or if you can get them empty, you put like other brands of ink in these bottles because they're just so practical and beautiful. So let's talk about performance. So it's a solid performer. Like, it's a good ink. It's made by Diamine, I believe, and Diamine know what they're on about. It's got good wetness and flow, so it feels nice to write with, and as I said, it's nice wet ink. Low water resistance. not a feature that was important in the making of this ink. You can see there's like sort of a grey brown left behind. You can see that in the chromatography as well. But, you know, like, I wouldn't call it ink resistant, like water resistant particularly. I've also put it's adequate on lower end paper, but also what you see around that is I actually smudged that, and that was like a little while after that was written. So it does have a decent sort of, decently long dry time. Extras, good shader, like really nice shading, like just good word for it to be written on, like just beautiful shading, but no shimmer and no sheen. So let's now look at it on a couple of other brands of paper. So we've got it here on Rhodia. See there, once again, the shading looks beautiful. So it's sort of kind of wet, you know, quite wet, like in a medium flow pen. Sold by Ackerman. I like this ink. Though my preference is for darker browns, I think like some of the darker shading of this brown is beautiful. Like those dark, rich amber honey tones are beautiful. Lovely shading. Really, really beautiful shader. On the reverse, you see nothing. Nothing at all, which I love. Even when I put down like a decent amount of ink, nothing. Good performance. On the reverse of the Rhodia, Tomo River as well, actually, sorry, nothing comes through. It's, you know, in fact, it ghosts less than a lot of other inks as well, I think. Maybe that's just me. But good, you know, performance. Let's look at it on lower end paper now. Here it is on plain copy paper. And you can see, like, in comparison to the couple of inks around it, it doesn't perform too badly. Like, it's not bleeding, feathering a whole lot. It does bleed a bit, but once again, not as much as some other inks. And if we look at it on lower paper, again, the student note paper, we get a similar thing. There is feathering, of course. This is like super low quality paper. This is like the studentiest of student note paper. So there is bleed and everything, but you know what? If you're going to use this in a fine nib, you'll probably get away with it, to be honest. Let's now see these comparisons. So now I decided not to find inks that were similar to it. I wanted to show it alongside a couple of other sorts of browns, so you get like a sense of the kind of brown that it is. So KWZ Cappuccino, which is a beautiful sort of greeny brown-ish sort of ink. So you can see it is a true brown, but it's got that honey brown, because here we have Waterman Absolute Brown, I think it's called. It used to be Havana Brown from memory, which is a darker, sort of richer, chocolatey brown. So you see where it lies, sort of in comparison to those. And you see also the chromatography there. Some beautiful sort of, you know, honey, ambery, you know, browns coming through there. Well, now let's talk price. Remembering, this is a lot of ink. A lot of ink. In 2018, when I bought this ink from Ackerman, I bought it directly from Ackerman, pardon me, including spending a ludicrous amount on postage for one bottle of ink. This was €19.42 before VAT, or excluding VAT. So with VAT, you can add the extra 20% on, whatever I think is what it is. Postage internationally is huge. It's not a cheap ink. You are getting 120 mils, but it's not a cheap ink. Like, including postage, it was like $55, $60 for the bottle for me. So, yeah, expensive. But, as I said, exclusive, limited runs, and a sort of a novelty because it's SBRE Brown. It's not like you're buying like a Havana Brown or something like that. You're buying an ink that is made in collaboration with one of our favorite pen personalities. So for the score, I've given 3.5 out of 5. Now, this could be higher easily. The ink performs really, really well. It performs at like a 4 to 4.5 in my opinion. And it's got a great color. So like, if this is the sort of color you're into, get it. If you're interested in it, if you can, get it. The only reason this comes down for me is because of the cost and the fact that it is really limited. Like when they make a run of it, it sells out within days generally, just because it's a really popular ink, it's a really nice ink, and it is made in limited runs. So it is expensive and limited, so the score does come down. I take these things into account. Like, I want to get stuff that, if it's a limited edition, sure, but you know, the expense and the fact that it is hard to get just brings the score down ever so slightly, because the performance is much higher and it is a beautiful ink to use. So this was the Diamine made, Ackerman sold, as far as I'm aware, SBRE Brown ink. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications button if you want to stay up to date with the videos that I produce. Please feel free to get in touch using any of the platforms listed below. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at @the_Osage_me, or you can contact me on any of my videos here, or drop me an email which is listed down below. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, or if there's a way you'd like to support the channel by sponsoring a review or providing an item for a review, I would love to hear from you. In the meantime, enjoy your inks, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.